We call to order the regular meeting of the Urban Renewal Commission, Oregon City, November 4th, 2009. We'll have the roll call.
Commissioner Neely?
Here.
Commissioner West? Here. Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Nacita?
Present.
Commissioner Crocker? Commissioner Peterson?
Here.
Commissioner Shaw? Commissioner Norris? Here. Commissioner Walters? Here. Chair Slack?
Here. Okay. We have any citizens' comments? Do we have any citizens? No. Okay. Just checking. Future agenda items. Anybody? Seeing none, moving on to adoption of the agenda. Do we have any revision to the agenda we need to make? General business, item 5A, resolution number UR09-05, authorizing the issuance, sale, execution, and delivery of its urban renewal tax increment revenue credit facility in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $10 million to provide financing for projects within the Oregon City downtown urban renewal area. Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, tonight you have three actions that are called for in the DDA that we have entered into with Pacific Property Search. And these are all preconditions of the parties' obligations, and those are spelled out in Section 6 through 9 and outlined in Section 5.2 of your DDA. But before getting into this first action, let me just put in perspective the work that we still have to be done, and a lot of that is these steps we're taking this evening. We do have to obtain the credit facility, and that is what's on your agenda here this evening. You also have two assignments. Those are on your agenda this evening. Clackamas Cove Limited LLC has to close the acquisition of the Parker Phase 1 land, and this is scheduled to be a simultaneous closing with the others, and that is set for November the 15th, and in the order when that takes place, this Phase 1 will close first. The Urban Renewal Agency has to acquire the Phase 2 property, and that's the one of the assignments that you have here this evening. And upon closing of Phase 1, CC, the Clackamas Cove LLC, will reimburse the agency, and again, that was part of that other arrangement that we had when they tied up that glacier piece. That's reimbursement will be $135,000 plus $12,325 in interest. The agency must approve the operating agreement with CCLCC and related agreements among Pacific Property Search and Slayton related to the project and the financial conditions of those entities. Those operating agreements are being completed and will be sent to Mr. Janik, and you'll look at those at a subsequent meeting. Reimbursement of consultant fees, and you have a book in front of you this evening that kind of outlines what those are. There's also a transfer of property from the city to the agency, and we're in the process of clearing up those titles, and we'll have that. So we're going to have some type of meeting prior to the 15th, so probably looking at next Wednesday evening, if that works for everyone to do that, or we can schedule another time. Okay, we'll be trying to coordinate a meeting.
That was a question. I'm okay. The impact's been changed.
Okay.
How does everybody look for Wednesday?
Should be a fairly short meeting. And that's, again, if we can get all this done, because we got to conclude all this stuff before the 15th.
As you know, I had entertained at the commission level a request to take a look at the Planning Commission's approval. I want to state why I did that, and I want to know at what point in this process I can address it. In the preparation of the riparian area, trees are going to be removed, and I wanted to find some way to guarantee those trees would be used to enhance there or elsewhere habitat issues. And I don't know where in this process. I presume it's at the process of where we start transferring, where the agency looks at transferring property, over to Pacific Properties and so forth. I don't see any place at this juncture, and what we're talking about here, that would be the appropriate point to bring it up. But I'm introducing this to Ed right now, so he knows it's coming up. But I want to make sure that I get keyed in at the right moment to bring up that particular issue. And Bill Kabizman's writing a note.
To a certain extent, there are several places it could. The easiest place would have been a while ago.
I know. I was focusing on a couple other things in the ADA, and I missed that, actually. But
Yeah.
I don't know this is going to cause much heartburn for Pacific Properties, actually. And so I don't know it's going to be that much of an issue. But I do want to bring it up at an appropriate time.
Yeah, and
We could schedule that first time before.
yeah, we could talk to PPS and bring that back to you, and maybe have a discussion before the next meeting that we're talking about, and
Okay.
give you an update and see
All right.
what we can come up with.
Okay?
And we might want to get a lot of clarity in terms of what you're looking for, so maybe we can make all those arrangements so we'll have action, and then that way we can kind of move through the rest of these steps as well, would be good.
If we had a meeting Wednesday, what time would you be suggesting that?
Probably looking at 5 o'clock,
Okay?
I think it's okay.
and that will be at the...
Oh, no, it's a holiday Wednesday
Oh,
Yeah, let's do
that's right.
for some
Let's
of us
not, let's not
veterans.
do that, then. What does Thursday evening look like?
I'm gone.
Oh.
We have no support. Do we?
How about Tuesday?
Thursday would work. Thursday's fine. South
Yeah.
Fork was canceled.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we don't.
Rob would have to chair the meeting, because I'll be out of town Thursday, so
I was good.
that's fine.
Okay, moving into item 5A is, this is the action to obtain the credit facility. As I've indicated, that is called out in the DDA, and as you recall, there's two major timelines. There's November the 15th, and then there is, I think it is April. And we are looking here while we're moving forth with this credit facility is because there's roughly $3 million worth of cost that are we need to be paid here by November the 15th. And again, part of that is in those books. The other part of the two pieces of the assignments that we're talking about here. The rest of the $7 million, or the other $7 million, is needed in the spring, and that's contingent upon the apartments coming out of the ground. We have worked with U.S. Bank to arrange this line of credit, and you will see by your staff report that actually we looked at two different banks, Bank of America, which we have done lending with on Urban Renewal previously, and U.S. Bank, who we do most of our banking with, felt the terms with U.S. Bank were more favorable. And so that is what we've arranged, and you have their sheet in there kind of indicating what the arrangements are there, and Mr. Wimmer can answer any of those questions. We are also using a line of credit this time versus bonded debt because it provides us greater flexibility, again, in terms of how we spend the money. We don't have to take it all up front. There's a lower cost due to the fact that, again, this is interest only that we'll be paying here until we move to bonded debt, but it is our intention here in the next 3 years to move to an urban renewal bond and replace this line of credit once we have expended the $10 million. And we're looking right now in fiscal year 2010, 2011 is probably the earliest, but we have 3 years under this line of credit, which to do, or 2 years, I think, under this line of credit to do that. I'm going to, just for a refresher, provide you with, again, Mr. Park's work on the financial forecast. And as you look at that, you will see that in fiscal year 2009-10 is where we have the line of credit, and he's got roughly a loan payment of $250,000 in there, mainly because we're moving about halfway through the year before we're doing that. And then he's showing in 2010 and 11 that we will be moving to bonded debt and replacing the line of credit with that. You can also look at the bottom. You will see that with this projection that the debt coverage ratios are very good. In fact, again, we're looking, or we need to maintain a 1.25. We're actually doing above that. Mr. Park's spreadsheets or projections indicate that it will be 2016 before you would have other money available for other projects. The reality is here, given some of the other costs that are in here and these projections, I think it's actually better than that, and as we move into next fiscal year and begin to look at it, we'll be able to identify that, but we should have at least some small amounts for that. Mr. Wimmer, if you would come up to this table. If you have any questions in regards to the line of credit or the term sheet that we have there, we can answer those questions for you.
Mr. Nacita.
An initial question. My recollection of why we're going for a line of credit in this case is that we would not be able to obtain a bond at this time.
Actually, I've gone back and looked at it after last time, and I think we probably could, because you said you got to have to finance $10 million. But we don't need the $10 million right now. And so, therefore, it gives us flexibility to go ahead and take this in different payments, as well as it gives us a little bit of savings in the fact that we do not have to pay principal on it. This is interest only, which gives us a little fudge factor in case until we do get those apartments coming out of the ground. So it makes our bottom line a little bit better at this particular point.
I think my concern was the and I'll gladly be correct on this. We needed a line of credit because we couldn't get bonded debt right now, and the interest rate on a line of credit is higher than on a bond.
Interest rate is higher on the line of credit than what it is on bonded debt. When you had asked that question before, I had indicated I thought that it was because we didn't have the strength in which to get the bonded debt. I think we probably could. It's tight, but we don't need all the $10 million in November, and that's, again, that part of it is where we draw that out and save us some dollars.
The commission report says the U.S. Bank will be the line of credit with the U.S. Bank will be converted to permanent financing with a bond no later than 3 years from the closing date of this line of credit. I don't know how that statement can be guaranteed, because we don't know what the economy will be like 3 years from now and whether 3 years from now we'll be able to go for a bond.
Well, first off, Commissioner, the draw period on the line is for 3 years. So at the end of 3 years, we would have to do the bond or get another line of credit. So that's why the 3 years pick. That was the attractiveness of the U.S. Bank over the Bank of America. Their draw period was only 2 years.
Notwithstanding the statement in the commission report, 3 years from now, we could be going for a line of credit rather than another bond. We could be going for another, just depending what the situation is 3 years or from now, which we can't anticipate right now.
Yeah, or we could even do that a year from now if we got a lot of value on the ground and we're ready to turn this into a bond. We could do it then.
Yes. See, one of the issues you have, I mean, again, looking at this and looking at what Mr. Parks is projecting, I think we're on solid ground with the ability with Urban Renewal as it sits today to finance another $10 million. If the apartments do not come out of the ground, there's no need for us to seek the other $7 million at this time. And so therefore we're not having to pay that particular cost. That's some of the flexibility that the line of credit gives us at this particular juncture. Whereas if we were doing a bond, we'd be going for the whole $10 million right now. So we'd be obligated to pay that off.
Commissioner Neely?
Just wanted to make sure this this agreement would also commit us to doing if we go out for a bond, to doing the bond with this entity, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no.
It does not do that then.
No.
Okay. So this is just a commitment on the line of credit only.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, when we do a bond, it could be with
Anybody.
Commissioner Nacita?
Right. Okay.
Because of my previously stated convictions and beliefs, I am going to move that should this resolution be approved tonight, that this debt issuance be put to a vote of the people of the city of Oregon City.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, actually.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I said I'm going to move that, should this resolution be approved tonight, that this debt issuance of $10 million be put to a vote of the people of Oregon City.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that should this bond, or the line of credit be approved, that it be put to the voters of Oregon City for a vote. Do we have
You're talking
discussion?
about a future bond, you're not talking about this line
No,
of
I'm
credit.
talking about this debt issuance.
Okay.
Do we have any discussion?
So let me make sure
Okay.
that the motion is on the line of credit being put to a vote.
Yes.
It's
Debt
really,
issuance, which at this time is the line of credit.
there's probably not a reason to do that, because here's why. If this is time sensitive, if you're not going to issue the line of credit, then, again, that's one of the conditions of the DDA, and so therefore the project would collapse. If you're going to put it to a line of credit, you might as well vote no, because it will expire before that time, and you won't have the line of credit anyhow. So that's correct, David, because there is a time in which this has, that we have to take action, or the line of credit that's being extended is not there.
Correct. I mean, the opportunity with these terms expires, what was it? And it was going to expire on the 2nd, and they extended it until the middle of the month, I believe it was.
Any other discussion?
Or the 10th.
We'll call for the question.
Commissioner Neely?
No.
Commissioner West?
No.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Nocita?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson?
No.
Commissioner Norris?
No.
Commissioner Walters?
No.
Chair Slack?
No. Motion fails 6 against, 2 in favor. Okay, we have another motion. Commissioner Norris.
I move Resolution UR 9-05. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion? I call for the question.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
No.
Commissioner Nocita?
No.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Norris?
Aye.
Commissioner Walters?
Aye.
Chair Slack?
Aye. Motion passes 8-2.
6.
I'm sorry, 6-2. Should have been a math major. Okay, item 5B, partial assignment of contract between Parker Pond LLC, Pacific Property Search LLC, and Urban Renewal Agency. Mr. Patterson?
Yes, I'm going to call on Mr. Basson. He's going to walk you through that, and I'm also going to hand out the final document that I'd indicated in your staff report that you'd be receiving this evening. This is the same, it just has the attachments with it this evening.
Good evening, Commission. The partial assignment of the Parker Pond, I like to think of it chronologically, and it makes more sense to me. And what happened was back in 2006, when Pacific Property Search began looking at this project, they went out and entered into agreements where they said, we're going to close these sale, we're going to buy your property, we're going to do it sometime in the future. And that's what the assignment that we have now is. Pacific Property Search is now saying, all right, we've now gotten to the point where we're going to buy it, but we're going to let the Urban Renewal Agency do it. And that's what we're doing, is we're stepping in the shoes of Pacific Property Search and buying properties that they had made agreements to purchase. And these were part of the obligation flows from the DDA that we entered into with with Clackamas Cove, where we, in Section 8.1, say that if certain preconditions are met, we will purchase this property from Parker Pond. And so this is a step in getting that purchase done. Basically, we take on the obligations of PPS in the agreements with Parker Pond, and it obligates us to purchase a property once the preconditions are met. So hopefully I haven't confused things further, but that's what we're doing. It's a relatively straightforward assignment where we take on the rights and obligations of PPS.
Commissioner Neely?
We just been given two documents with two different dates. Are these actually two different documents?
Yes, the two documents I just handed out, one is the partial assignment of the issue that you're talking about. The other is for that Glacier piece, which is across the street. The one we don't have for you this evening is the assignment of the purchase and sale agreement with Glacier Northwest, and that's for that skinny little piece that we...
And actually, what the two documents are, these are two parts of a whole. This is the agreement between PPS and Parker Pond to purchase all of the Parker property. We purchase Phase 2, and SGC purchase Phase 1. So if you look at 8.1 of the DDA, it spells out that that the Urban Renewal Agency purchases Phase 2, Sladen purchases Phase 1, and let's see, I've got a map in this set of documents here. And that shows which ones are Phase 1 and which ones are Phase 2.
November 15th.
And here's, map right down here is the Parker property. Here's Main Street. I don't have a great feel, here's Phase 1. This is a part that Sladen is purchasing through the partial assignment, and this is a part that the Urban Renewal Agency will purchase through this assignment.
And could you do the pointing this direction as well?
Sure. Phase 1 is this piece of property here.
Yep.
And Phase 2 is this piece here.
Okay.
And then the other piece is that one.
Okay.
Squirrely piece.
If you'd like to look at the master plan, it's pretty easy to see. This is the Phase 1 right here, and a little piece over here is Phase 2, and that's all of Parker's property. Then Glacier has a piece that goes right up to the middle here, which is 1.82 acres. And that's another assignment which is not completed in your packet.
If you want to, would you like a little diagram that I can have these run off real quick and give you a copy?
Sure.
Go
They're in.
ahead. Okay.
They're in here?
Yep. They're in. The back of November 15th.
So you'll notice that the November 3rd one, we are not a party to. The Urban Renewal Agency is not a party to. That's not, it's more for our information about what's happening.
Did, Commissioner Walters was just pointing out that on this Exhibit B1, that it shows Washington County.
So it's what?
Washington County.
Oh,
Where did it say that?
Here.
right here.
Right up at the top. Well, and what I think that refers to, and we need a surveyor to really tell us, is, this is about where it's located, and if you talk about, Township 2 South, Range 2 East, Willamette Meridian, Washington County, it's sort of where the point of beginning of how you determine where property is. And I will, okay, and so we'll make sure that that's right, that it should be Washington County and not Clackamas County.
Yeah.
Commissioner Nocita.
I used to work for a survey company, and I was not a surveyor, but I read a lot of these legal descriptions. And I think I disagree. I think this is actually a typographical error that needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
The point of beginning may be in Washington County from where but this first paragraph is talking about where the quarter section is.
Okay.
And I think it is indicated that the quarter section being referred to is in Washington County.
All right. You may well be right. I'm, trying. We will confirm whether it should be Washington County or Clackamas County.
Good catch.
Any other questions? Commissioner Nocita.
Discussion, I just want to, since I'm being a broken record tonight, the reason I voted against the concept plan for this project was in part, as I explained, was that I didn't think that the Urban Renewal Commission should be...
Can you speak in the mic?
I am speaking in the mic, and the light is on.
That's better.
I don't think we should be putting the taxpayers on the hook for this property when the appraisal that we were that exists for the code in general identified the property in the project area is having a negative development value. So I'm against this assignment.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Neely?
I understand Commissioner Nocita's point. If we were to not do it and somehow Pacific Property were, then something happened that the project didn't go forward for some reason or another, we would have no control of that property. And I think since we own so much of that area, I think us having control of that property for any potential future development, if for some reason something doesn't go right here, is in the city's best interest.
I agree.
I would also remind the commission, and that's the worst-case scenario, if the condos develop, is then, as you recall, when they take those portions down, that property is reappraised, and PPS has to buy that property back from the Urban Renewal Agency to make that development. So you will recover some of those costs in there. And again, we're within the $10 million of what was...
I disagree that it's a guarantee that we'll recover at that point, because there are provisions for a credit to the developer for things like architectural services, et cetera. So there's no guarantee that we'll get anything back.
Any other comments? Do we have a motion? We don't have a motion.
Are these all part, are the two phases part and parcel of our 5B? Or are they two different ones?
They are two different ones.
So, just to make sure, which 5B and 5C apply to, which one applies to Phase 1 and which to Phase 2? I think it's pretty clear, actually.
What are we voting on?
The document dated November 15th, 2009, between Parker Pond LLC, Pacific Property Search, and the Urban Renewal Agency.
Okay, so the one that came in our packet is essentially the same one, but the blanks aren't filled in.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the same as, should be the same, except the blanks are filled.
And
Got it.
Commissioner West.
and the picture, the piece on the map that we are voting on in this particular one is?
Phase 2, the smaller triangular shaped
Okay.
piece to the right of that picture.
All right. Did somebody make a motion?
Yeah, please.
I move approval for the partial assignment of the contract between Parker Pond LLC, Pacific Property Search LLC, and the Urban Renewal Agency.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Call the question.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Commissioner West? Aye. Commissioner Smith?
No.
Commissioner Nocita?
No.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Norris?
Aye.
Commissioner Walters?
Aye.
Chair Slack?
Aye. Motion passes 6-2. Okay, item 5C, assignment of purchase and sale agreement between Glacier Northwest, Inc., Pacific Property Search LLC, and Urban Renewal Agency. Mr. Patterson?
That's the one that's attached. I'm just wondering if you
Okay. And again, I'm going to call Mr. Glassman to do this.
Okay. Mr. Patterson just gave you a map that shows the location of the glacier piece, but it's essentially the same, but it's not as complicated as the Parker piece because we're buying everything, we're getting everything that PPS has. We are agreeing to purchase the property from Glacier Northwest, and this document just obligates us to step in the shoes of PPS in its agreement with Glacier Northwest.
Mr. Nocita? Or Commissioner Nocita?
On this parcel, I do want to remind everybody that in the original white concept plan binder that we received back earlier this year, there was the deed for this parcel, which indicated that originally the city of Oregon City had owned this and had sold it for the deed indicated that it had been sold for $1. And now I understand that we're, if my recollection serves me right, we're going to be spending $500,000 for a parcel that we had sold for $1. And again, appraisal of the area said that all this land had negative development value. I do want to acknowledge to Mr. Darrow that I do recognize that you are selling this, I think, to us for less than you paid for it. That this parcel you paid well over $500,000 for, maybe $650 or something like that. $750, and you are selling it to us for $500,000. Nevertheless, I don't think that, given the history of the parcel, that we should be paying $500,000 for it.
Can I give a little background on that? I think I did
Sure.
do this. Ed Darrow with the developer. Previously, when that property was tied up with Parker, Glacier actually had a full operation on their main piece, which is Phase 1. In the lease that Glacier had with Parker property, there was a clause in there that said that if, in fact, there was a threat or actual condemnation, that they would have to move off the property and that actually would break the lease. The city actually pursued that and made a statement that they would, in fact, proceed with a condemnation. Glacier took that as an action that they needed to actually move off the site. So the value was not so much as the dirt, it was a relocation cost, which was the $500,000. We picked up the other $250,000, which is a combination of doing a payback for concrete, which we have an obligation to buy them. So it really wasn't so much as saying, all right, we're buying this from you. We actually moved them off the property, moved them out of an operating business, and that was what that payment was for.
Commissioner Neely, did you ever? No. Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
I move approval of the signed and purchase sale agreement between Glacier Northwest Pacific Property Search and the Urban Renewal Agency.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion? Call for the question.
Commissioner Neely?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
No.
Commissioner Nocita?
No.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Norris?
Aye.
Commissioner Walters?
Yes.
Chair Slack?
Aye. Motion passes 6-2. We have minutes, other item 5D, minutes of the September 16th, 2009 regular meeting.
Move approval?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have discussion, Mr. Nocita? Or Commissioner Nocita?
I kind of wish that the discussion had occurred before the motion, because there's some concerns I have about the minutes. We've had some discussions in the city about minutes recently, and I've done some research on the question. And there's actually a state statute that actually defined what constitutes valid minutes. It's ORS Chapter 192.650. Subsection D of that statute requires that minutes include, quote-unquote, the substance of any discussion on any matter. I'll raise this again during our regular city commission meeting, but I have concerns that these minutes don't include the substance of the discussion on what was discussed that evening. I'll specifically point to on page 3 in the Urban Renewal Storefront Improvement Program, 1102 7th Street. There's a line down that's there, for example, there was discussion regarding what the current balance was for the grant program. And then there's another discussion below that says there was discussion about raising the amount of this grant. So it indicates there is a discussion, but it doesn't give the substance of the discussion on either of those two matters. And on that basis, since it's already been moved and seconded, I don't feel I can approve these minutes.
Any other discussion?
Commissioner Neely?
No.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
No.
Commissioner Nocita?
No.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Norris?
Aye.
Commissioner Walters? No. Chair Slack?
Yes. So we got
4-4.
4-4?
Motion's defeated.
What's that? So it's motion's defeated. Oh, we'll bring those minutes back at a future meeting.
I think if I might,
Wait a minute, Ms. Ide, did
I
you
just
have-
wanted to remind the commission that our web streaming video recording is also a permanent document, that we keep permanently the video. So it's, in addition to the written minutes, which are a summary of the meeting, the video is kept on a permanent basis as well.
Commissioner Neely?
I was going to say, when we were talking about making the minutes a summary some time ago, our attorney at that time cautioned us about having a summary form of minutes. If in fact these web streams are going to be available, I think they have to be available to the commission meeting at the time where we can look at those things. We don't go home and look at a web stream after the fact. And I guess I share the same concerns there, and I myself saw things in the minutes to the City Commission that presented the same concern to me.
Okay. Commissioner Nacita?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Commissioner Neely has stated, because when we're, the other thing about minutes is that they have to be approved. And it's one thing to approve minutes by being able to read them, having to, sit through an entire video of a 2-hour meeting or an hour-and-a-half meeting so that you can take notes to decide whether you want to approve the minutes or not is logistically, it's just not doable. So I concur with Commissioner Neely on that point.
Okay. Commissioner West?
Oh, I guess I'm lost. Doug, you're suggesting that we have whatever the urban renewal meeting is that we go through a videotape or the DVD of the meeting?
I'm suggesting the minutes should be of the nature that existed, 8 years ago, which the minutes were very detailed.
So you're suggesting that someone else transcribes them in a more thorough manner, that you just don't care for who's transcribing them now? Not personally, you don't care for the service that is being provided now. So maybe I could ask Mr. Kvaisman, or what are best practices of other government agencies?
The extensiveness of minutes really varies. I've seen agencies that take very extensive notes, essentially transcripts, and use those as minutes, and I've seen others that do a very summary, can sum up 2 hours in a page. I do think that the statute, as written, gives, the minimum has to be identify the members present, motions, proposals, resolutions, orders, ordinances, and measures proposed and their disposition, the results of all votes. And where you get into the question is there's a specific requirement to this that includes the substance of any discussion on the matter. How detailed that substance is, I'm not aware of a court or a Attorney General opinion that really provides much guidance on that. I think, one thing to think about is what are these minutes going to be used for? It's going to be 5 years from now, somebody else who wasn't on the commission sitting and saying, well, why did they do this? And the more information you put in there, the easier it is to tell, but that also leads to delay and expense as well. So,
Commissioner Nacita?
But, Mr. Kvaisman, I think you'd agree that, given the statute, saying that, these 4 people were present, and this is the vote they took, or this is the direction they gave to staff, that can't satisfy that provision subsection D, because the substance of the discussion isn't there.
I would agree with one qualification. If, in fact, all that was made was a motion to approve and there was an approval, then that's all there was.
Correct, but if there was half an hour of discussion, that doesn't satisfy the statute.
It depends on the discussion. I mean, I may be sounding somewhat legalistic, but it's a matter of how much substance how detailed you want to make that substance.
Commissioner West?
So from a legal point of view now with video streaming, so where does a backup copy with a video stream, how does, I mean, so you could have your minutes be a framework, and you can back it up with further questions. Somebody can rewatch the video streaming.
Let me indicate, again, if the commission wants more detail, we'll go back and try to do that. It's always interesting because everyone may have a different opinion of what's there. But politically, one of the things that you may wish to consider, particularly as we move into the future, and this is something, again, that would have to be taken up with the state, is this is really a somewhat of an archaic practice at this point. We have our meetings now are video streamed, they're tape recorded, and we're spending a lot of time and a lot of dollars writing a transcribed minutes. The best way to do that, if you want detailed, is for us to contract with a court reporter and do these things verbatim. That is very expensive, given the duplication you have, but that's something that had to be changed at state level. I think Commissioner Nocita is correct in terms of the statutes say these things, but we continue to operate that way. Those are cost implications because we refuse to change the way government does business, even though we have technology. In the reality, when we go back to do this, and even when you make corrections to the minutes, the real correction is we go back and check the tape. It's not necessarily what one may think they said, it's really what's on that tape is what's going to go back in that. So we'll go back and we can pull more things out of the tape and put it in there. And again, I think you're always going to have this argument whether we've captured everything or not, because it's just a summary of that. But
That does presume that we've...
Commissioner Norris was next.
Yeah, I think actually this is one of the situations where the state has gotten ahead of the game, because if you look at the statute, it says, "The governing body or the public body shall provide for the sound, video, or digital recording or the taking of written minutes." So, if you have minutes, you've got to meet these certain things. But if you have sound, video, or digital recording, you don't really need the written minutes. It's a question of what you want.
So you have to preserve
the
recording, which hasn't always happened in our case.
Commissioner Norris.
Now, I think that's the essence of the discussion that I'd like to have, is what are we using these for? Because I find when I need to have information, it's so easy to do the web streaming. So it appears that we do have the choice of going all digital as our record. I mean, I like having the record of who moved and when the motion was, because that makes it easy archivally to be able to find the video streamed piece that I want, and where in the meeting it was. But again, what's the purpose that we want, I think is really the essence of the discussion. I mean, for me, it's going back and finding information that I may have forgotten. It's so easy to do that web streaming. So to me, written minutes are less and less useful as we move into the technology age.
Commissioner Nocita.
I think Commissioner Neely was first.
Well, I had that sort of preference. I said something when I was talking about that. Unless we really got the ability here to bring up the web stream whenever we want it for discussion purposes, I think we've got a problem.
But we will in our new quarters.
Yeah. So we can at any point access any of those.
Yeah.
Okay, that will be available.
Is that correct? Is that correct? Will they have access to the web
on our laptops?
The dais in the new meeting?
For archive is what you're talking about, right?
You'll have access to,
The video
not at the
stream?
meeting, no.
Could they go to the video stream?
No.
But we can't.
Not from their dais, no. But from other laptops in the chambers, we can.
Well, I mean, that's the point, whether we can gain access to that kind of information, and that is actually built into our system at a meeting. If in fact we wish, when we approve the minutes, we wish to take a look at what that discussion was.
Wait a minute, Commissioner Nocita is...
Yeah, I just want to point out, too, that, going to what Mayor Norris said, I don't know if it's my own laptop, but when I have tried to access prior meetings, the tapes, I cannot access the middle of a meeting. I have to start from the beginning and then just wait till the thing scrolls to the end.
I've never had that problem.
I haven't
Yeah,
I'll have
so
to give you some
It must be
training
my,
on that,
yeah, it
Commissioner.
must be my laptop, but I've never succeeded. I've never succeeded in doing that.
Commissioner West.
Okay, so we've talked about several different ways of doing this. In the essence of doing business and managing time and financial resources efficiently, I would hope that we could still do a brief written summary, and if there's need there, then if for further clarification, we can go to the video streaming. But I cannot imagine going into a meeting and here you have people waiting to testify in a huge agenda, and now we're going to go check minutes on the video streaming. So I would still think we need that little summary, and then if there's, well, that's my opinion.
Can the minutes actually say at the bottom that reference the video stream so that the public would
For
know
further
that
detail.
there's both elements of...
That's nice.
Commissioner Walters.
I just wanted to explain my vote. When I was first appointed to the Urban Renewal Commission, I found it very helpful to go back and read the minutes over the years and understand the decisions a little bit better. And I guess I don't really care how the information is presented as long as it's there. So if we go to digital only, I'm okay with that. But I just want to make sure that however the average citizen is going to access their information, that they have a pretty good understanding of what happened at the meeting. And I think that I have seen kind of a tendency to go with a lot of summary and very little substance to the minutes. I mean, it's very, very high level, and I understand the reasons for it, but that was the reason I voted, and I'm perfectly satisfied to do it just by accessing the web stream.
Okay. We have any more discussion tonight on the topic? Do we have any idea of where we're headed? So, oh, bring it back. Okay, great. City Manager's report?
Just a quick thing, we are in the process of putting the final touches on City Hall, and we'll be moving over the weekend. We do plan to have an open house that's scheduled for December the 18th, but if any of you want to walk through before that, we'd invite you to come on down, take a look at it. I think you'll be pleasantly pleased.
Well, we're assuming we're going to be doing urban renewal in there before...
You will. But if you want to... Again, we're going to be closed on Monday as we're unpacking down there, but starting Tuesday, we'll be open for business, so...
Okay, thank you.
So this is our final meeting, urban renewal meeting here in these chambers.
Any complications?
Well, wait a minute. That's right. Yeah, okay.
It's our
Great.
last.
Just one thing. I know that Jerry Herman he's got a project going downtown in our urban renewal district, and he'd like to challenge, I think, some of you to come and help out. So.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm sorry you're leaving this building. This building's kind of history. I hope you take that mural with you. Beautiful painting.
Identify your...
Yes, I'm Jerry Herman. I live unincorporated Oregon City, outside Oregon City. What is being passed out to you is a outline of what we call Take Pride in Downtown Oregon City event. And over the last 3 months, Don Slack, myself, and Lloyd Purdy have worked on this with a number of other people from the community. I was asked to develop something that would be more specific to planting and enhancing the downtown. And I have a personal interest in that. My dad had a store there next to Muno Bakery for 50 years. And so I know every window down there because he made me wash windows when I was growing up and learn about the business community that was in that area. So having said that, I want to point out to you that in 1986 was the first Take Pride in Downtown Oregon City event where we planted trees, removed a lot of weeds, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? A lot of that kind of stuff still has to be done now. But the point that we're trying to make now is that we would like to do some structural things that would make at least the area look better while you look at what your future long-term redevelopment efforts would be. And I found it, by the way, very nice working with Lloyd and Dawn and the business people that I had to make contacts with. We're going to do 5 things. We're going to go to the tree wells, of which there are 42, and grade them slightly below the surface level that they're at right now, without damaging the roots. and place red cinder over all those tree wells that don't have either a cap of iron or steel grid over them. In some of the trees down by Don Slack's area and also by the Territorial Building, which is owned by Dan Fowler, we're going to add very dry landscape sensitive plants that don't need a lot of moisture, that are tough and durable right at the base of the tree. So 42 trees are going to be enhanced in terms of their appearance with a red contrasting material as a mulch to the surrounding concrete. The second thing we're going to do is work specifically around what we call the South Gateway Corridor, which is your tunnel and your tunnel. And I know you know about one tunnel, but I'll bet you don't know about the other tunnel, which is a walking tunnel. I know one of your commissioners knows a lot about that tunnel. And up on top of that tunnel is a nice little overlook of the industrial aspects of the city. It's almost surrealistic looking, and the beautiful bluffs. We're going to clean the area up, and the planting area below it has been adopted by a particular person you'll hear about on Saturday, and we're going to enhance it with plantings which are described in the planting plan which I developed, which is on the last page. It's got a little color graphic. Again, dry landscape, low-maintenance kinds of plantings. So that's the South Gateway. In addition to that, the Blue Heron Paper Company folks are mulching their entire corporate building because it is a beautiful landscape, really is. But it quite often is not even noticed, and frankly, it's not been kept up real well, so they're going to be doing pruning and mulching on that site. Then joining that site is Riverview Plaza. I know your city engineer knows about this because she asked my organization to get involved in this, the first, I think, really redevelopment of 99E a long time ago, about 7 years ago, I believe. And that is a nice place, 9 years ago, but you can't see the river from Riverview Plaza. So the folks that work under John Lewis, your Public Works operations manager's direction and landscape maintenance under contract, have gone and thinned all the plants, reduced their canopy, and now we're going to mulch that entire area and try to bring down the invasive blackberry vines that are still restricting the view of the river at that area. That's about a quarter-acre area there. And then we have what's called the, the Power Tower area and the Corridors of Justice. Now, this is the courthouse folks. And I went to the judges and asked that they talk to their attorneys and assign them community service work. And asked them if they would be willing to come down and help us on Saturday around the courthouse, the parking lots adjoining, in particular, the courthouse. Herb Arbor's parking lot in particular is part of your downtown landscape, and the so-called Power Tower, which conducts electricity across the river from Westland to Oregon City, needs some help. So that's another target. Last but not least, you have a number of monuments. I found 5. I've been told there's more like 12. But Karen Morey knows where they all are, and she's in charge of the Take Charge group, the top brass group, to go out there and burnish those things. Now, I did a test on burnishing. I'm from a Navy background. I know your chairman's from Army Air Corps, is that right? Excuse me. Helicopter. Yeah. All right. But I thought I knew how to polish brass, and I couldn't make it work. And so I talked to somebody that knows about monuments, and that's Larry Potter, who operates your cemetery, as well as many other things he does. And he said, talk to Northwest Brass and Monument that does all our monuments, and they'll tell you how to proceed. And so I have a special formula from them. It's not ground-up oxen hooves, I can tell you that. It's simple burnishing techniques using abrasives, and it's their proprietary method for burnishing monuments in the field. So Karen Morey's going to work on that on Saturday. The event we'd like to have you all involved in, if you have time, is going to commence at 8:30 a.m. at Liberty Plaza. That's a small park adjoining the courthouse. And then go to the various sites. We have 60 people right now signed up for this event. I'm really happy with this because it's going to make an immediate difference. And the last part of this whole thing is 500 bulbs have been made available to us. I'm talking about things that are going to grow because they're made that way. They will grow no matter what. They will bloom no matter what, at least for 1 year, and hopefully several. So we have tulips and daffodils and other plants that are going to be planted in all areas that we enhance that have landscape value because we know that they will grow as a test to see if you like that kind of look and see what the changes might appear this next spring because they're very predictable. So we'd like to have you help in any way that you could, be a team leader, assistant team leader. I have qualified team people, team captains for each of the 5 zones, but I'd love to have you commissioners, both on the Urban Renewal Board and the City Commission, be involved in this if you could. It's the best time to do something is in the fall because you know what, plants will grow. Now I have to say I did a test and location for moles. And I couldn't find a mole hole in your city, which means what we plant will not get eaten, at least for a year or two.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
And, but Settlers Corner has purchased 100 T-shirts that say Main Street Oregon City on them for the first 100 volunteers that show up Saturday morning, so, anyway. All right? Anything else tonight? If not, we stand adjourned.